Okay everybody, we got a lot of books this week to get through, so let's get started. First issue for the week is Anti-Venom, New Ways to Live, Issue 1. This was a really awesome comic, even though Anti-Venom is a really awful name. Anti-Venom. Stupid. For anyone who didn't read New Ways to Die, it was a story arc in Amazing Spider-Man, and it reintroduced us to Eddie Brock, who used to be Venom. Except it introduced us to him as a superhero. That series had John Romita Jr., it had Norman Osborn back in the Green Goblin costume, and it was awesome. So Eddie Brock is back now, and he's ready to show the world that he can be a good guy. This issue delves into his rehabilitation and how he's able to deal with the fact that he used to eat people for fun. This issue is very well written, and it has better character development than most of the stock filler Dark Reign comics that are coming out right now. As a matter of fact, it strikes the perfect balance between well-drawn action and great storytelling. You should buy it. Oh, and there's also an awesome cameo at the end, but I'm not going to tell you who it is. Okay, it's the Punisher Noir, Issue 2. The Marvel Noir books are reimaginings of Marvel Universe characters in the 1930s setting. The first issue of Punisher Noir, we met the 1930s version of Frank Castle, the Punisher. Except instead of his whole family dying in a mob hit, his wife dies of cancer. Now this poses a problem for the revenge story of the Punisher, because as much as you'd like to, you can't go on a one-man mission to shoot cancer in the head, right? So I didn't know where the revenge story was going to come into play. Well, we find all of that out in this issue. And the comic ends with a really great twist. Jigsaw, Barracuda, and the Russian all make an appearance. Next up, we've got Dark Wolverine number 78. Now, this isn't a bad comic. It's enjoyable. But my problem with it is that it was a chore to read. I had a hard time getting into it. Now, this was due to the fact that there were some problems with the writing. It was hard to understand in parts, and here's an example. Okay, so the comic starts out with leaked footage getting out of Dark Wolverine, doing something evil to, puppies and old ladies and, or something like that. Of course, Norman Osborn sends out some stereotypical, mysterious FBI secret agent type guys to go and contain the leak and find out its source and, what secret agents do. Now, my problem isn't with any of that. The problem is that once we get to that part of the storyline, it's hard to understand what the agents are saying to each other, because they're trying to sound mysterious, but that doesn't help me. That doesn't help the comic book reader. Let me read an example so you can see. Okay, so the secret agent guys are talking to each other, and here's what they say. The one says, he saw part of a name on a credit card. First name Robert, 3 letters, DEV. Maybe a husband's card. Could be a boyfriend. Run the search. And the other one says, already did. Found a lot of possibilities, but only one of them is a journalist. Not married. But there's a picture on the internet of him with a woman. Confirm that she's the same person who approached the teen. If she is, then locate her and locate the man. Use extreme caution. We need them alive. Now, I read this comic like 5 times, and I still don't exactly understand what's going on here. Now, you tell me, am I stupid, or do I have bad reading comprehension, or what? But to me, that's just bad writing. I understand that they're trying to sound mysterious, but it's too mysterious. I can't follow what they're saying to each other. I could have used an editor's note or something. It just really just amounts to bad writing. As the comic goes along, it gets better, but it's still hard to follow because they keep introducing new characters, and it's hard to follow who's who. And it's too complicated. I shouldn't need a freaking Excel spreadsheet to figure out what's going on in your comic. Come on. Anyway, next up is Captain America Reborn number 3. There's the beautiful cover. There's Cap doing his killing thing with the big guns and the Nazis and the thing in the war. Okay, let me start off. I don't want to come off as a complete sourpuss with comics this week, but let me start off by saying this is a good comic. It's a good read. The artwork is great. The writing is good. There's lots of good action. The coloring is beautiful. Those aren't the problems. My problem is with the entire concept behind this series. Now, ever since Civil War ended and Cap got assassinated, everyone's been wondering how they're going to bring Captain America back. Because, you know, it's comic books and people don't really die. They have to bring you back somehow, especially with a big character like Captain America. Now, here's what they came up with. You ready? Fantastic. Alright, the gun that was used to kill Captain America, the gun that they used to Cap, wasn't a regular gun. It was a mega scientific thingamabobber thingy that sent his consciousness soaring through space and time. Now, does any of this sound familiar? This entire concept has been done before. But not only that, it's being done in Batman right now. The same thing happened to Bruce Wayne. Do you think there's any chance that Bruce Wayne and Steve Rogers might run into each other while their minds are soaring through space-time? Oh, and you know what? They'll probably run into Desmond from Lost while they're at it. Oh, and maybe the Quantum Leap guy will be there too. This has been done so many times before. It's way overdone, and I'm just tired of it. I can't wait for all of this to be over so that Captain America can just be back alive and we can just pretend that none of this happened. Now the clock's ticking, and I've still got a ton of comic books here, so I'll be brief with the rest of them. Amazing Spider-Man number 605. Okay, you've got two stories. One is a Peter Parker story, and one is a Mary Jane story. Now the cool thing is that the Mary Jane story is actually the action-packed superhero story, and the Peter Parker one is the romance guy-girl story. Both of the stories are really good. It was really great to see Peter Parker trying to find love on the internet, and actually going on a date as Spider-Man. I thought that was hilarious. Next up is Batman and Robin number 4. Now, there's really not much that I can say about this comic other than the fact that the Red Hood is awesome. This comic is awesome. Just buy it. You really can't lose. Batman, Streets of Gotham number 4. Now, have you ever wondered where supervillains get their secret lairs? Well, this comic talks about that. They get them from a guy known only as the Broker, and he's kind of like a real estate agent for psychotic criminal masterminds. Yes, what a cool concept. I really enjoyed this comic. It's pretty much a self-contained story, and it's easy to follow. It's just great. You really should buy it. I really only had one problem with this comic, let me just say that. Yet again, there's an artist who doesn't really know how to draw kids or teenagers or young adults. He seems to draw them like they're just a shrunk down version of a full-grown human, which is anatomically incorrect. Dark Reign, The List, Daredevil. Now, the title of this comic should be Daredevil Joins a Cult, because that's basically what happens. He becomes the leader of a cult. Is it the kind of cult that empties out your bank account? No. Is it the kind of cult that leaves you sipping poisonous Kool-Aid on an island somewhere? No. It's the Hand. They're a death-worshipping cult of psychotic badass ninjas. Yeah, this comic is awesome. Buy it. Ghostbusters, Displaced Aggression, Issue 1. Well, I don't really have a lot to say about this comic. It's really good, and it's got a Back to the Future reference in it. So that means that it's a comic book based on a movie from the 80s that's got a reference to another 80s movie in it, which is pretty great. You should buy it. Oh, and they cross the streams. And that's it for this week's comic book hangover. Now, I know you're probably busy messing around on Facebook and Twitter, and you've probably got some funny Kanye memes to look at, but really, this week, go out and buy some comics. See you next week.
And now, a word from my local sponsor.